A dark force from the other side has set its sights on a family. Don't miss out. A shocking discovery in the family house that brings death. This is Psychic Investigations, a project of true and breathtaking stories. Here, people who call themselves clairvoyants delve into complex criminal cases and incredible mystical anomalies. This Ukrainian girl is Olha. She's 16. She came to the show with her mother, Marina. Their family has witnessed paranormal activity. Their car seems to be possessed by a ghost, and Olha was the first to witness it.
The car was in the yard when the music suddenly turned on. Then it rolled backward on its own.
For a moment, Olha froze, petrified.
Someone was sitting behind the wheel. I saw a silhouette in the car. I felt terrified.
Frightened, Olha called her parents.
The car was moving around the yard on its own.
Finally, the car stopped, as if someone hit the brakes. The stunned parents peered inside. The mysterious silhouette was gone, but the music was still playing. The family didn't know what to make of it, but a few days later, something strange happened to their car again. It seemed like a poltergeist had possessed it. Marina and her husband, Victor, were driving to the market when they suddenly saw they weren't alone in the car.
They saw someone sitting in the back seat, but when they turned around, there was no one there.
And the next moment, the car started skidding on its own.
It suddenly swerved into the oncoming traffic. I was in complete shock.
Only miraculously, Victor managed to avoid a collision with a massive truck.
I thought my children were going to be orphans.
Marina has 3 children and a loving husband. They live in a house in an ordinary village. However, lately, it's become frightening for the family to stay in their own home, as the strange entity has seemingly moved from their car into their house.
The door rattled by itself, as if someone was trying to break in. The floorboards creaked like someone was walking. I got panicked.
I saw a figure in the mirror, like someone had just passed by. I was terrified.
Not only the family sees the mysterious entity in their house, but also their friends and relatives.
I saw a shadow, and the next moment it was gone. It looked like a human silhouette. It's just chilling.
But one day, the malevolent force launched a full-blown attack.
I was in the kitchen, making dinner. My husband took the tractor and was cultivating the soil in the garden.
Suddenly, their younger son, 6-year-old Sasha, ran into the house, screaming madly.
He yelled, "Mom, Dad died." When I got out, I saw him all bloodied.
Fortunately, the man was alive. Later, he told his wife that he had crashed into a metal vine support, and the collision was almost fatal.
He was turning around when something threw the tractor, and it hit the pole hard. He injured his head badly. Had he hit his temple, he would have died instantly.
Victor was taken to the hospital with a severe head injury, but once he was back home, the entire family almost burned alive. For no reason, a stack of hay near the house, which the owners had prepared for their livestock for the winter, suddenly caught fire.
The firefighters worked from 10 p.m. to 7 in the morning to extinguish it.
The firefighters told us to thank God that we stayed alive. It was just terrible.
Marina is convinced that the evil force was sent to them by the woman who her husband used to work for as a personal driver, and who was allegedly in love with him.
Her name's Natalia. She liked him, and she didn't want him to be with me.
Marina was a widow when she started dating Victor. 6 months later, he proposed to her. One day, his fiancée brought him lunch at work, and he introduced her to his employer. And from the next day on, Natalia started blackmailing Marina by phone.
She said she would make sure I would never be with him. She cursed me.
Marina told Victor everything, and he quit his job immediately. After that, the couple moved to Marina's home village. She became pregnant with their 3rd child. Victor found a new job, and for a while, they forgot about his former employer's threats, until they saw the silhouette in the car. They remembered that Victor's car had been kept in his employer's garage when he'd worked for her. Quite a strange coincidence. So, Marina wondered if the woman could have sent the evil spirit through the car.
We really need the psychics to come and help us.
Our experts Jana Shulikova and Rubina Tsibulska take on this mystical case.
After I worked with Marina's photo, I had a dream about a young woman. She was tied to a vehicle by her neck. I can't recall her face, but she was weeping and shouting, "I can't take it anymore. They're all suffering because of me."
Wait, the entity first showed itself through the car. Could someone have bound a spirit to their car?
I don't know. But that girl then said something utterly strange. "When you see the child in the coffin, look behind it."
Could she mean one of Marina's children? Does it mean we'll have to attend a funeral? My mirror shows Marina at a cemetery. Strangely, there are police officers around her, and there's some kind of package at her feet. What is it? It's an infant.
An infant?
A while later, the psychics are in the village where the family lives. Marina's children are at school, and her husband is away on a business trip, so she's waiting for the experts with her mother, who lives nearby.
Hello.
Hello?
Please come in.
You have a suspicion about where this all came from. And you suspect a woman.
Yes.
Let's sort it out.
My mirror is showing a woman. She's not very tall, a bit plump, dark-haired, and older than you.
That's his ex-employer, Natalia.
She's still longing for him.
A lovesick woman can do many foolish things like cast a spell or bind a spirit.
Where does Natalia live?
It's 150 kilometers from here.
It's too far.
Do you have her photo?
No.
Marina and her husband even deleted this woman's phone number from their contact lists.
The only way out was to tune in to Natalia through Marina. Threats. A good woman. When I tune in to the time when it all happened, I see pictures of your past. Looks like your husband found you online.
That's true.
Marina says she and Victor started communicating on social media 7 years ago.
He said, "I'll come to you." And I was, of course, very happy.
He's not your first husband, but he's your first true love.
Yes.
It turned out that Marina met Victor when she was in high school. She went to a disco, and he asked her to dance, and then walked her home.
He walked me home, and then it started raining. We ran together like two little kids. So, yes, it's probably true.
I see your relationship lasted for a few months.
Later, he was drafted into the army, and we parted ways.
Your relationship ended because of some rumors.
People told me he had a wife. My friends told me that.
At the time, Marina didn't know she had been lied to, and because of that lie, she lost so many years. Marina stopped answering Victor's calls and letters, and all the time until he found her on social media, she thought he was a traitor.
But in reality, he had no wife,
He didn't.
and he loved you all those years.
He loved me madly.
It's indeed the love of your entire life.
This is absolutely true.
But the woman Victor worked for didn't like it at all.
She's offended, but she never resorted to magic. She never did anything to bind this otherworldly force to you.
Then what is it?
A metal flower stand suddenly fell over. No one was home.
I saw the spirit of the girl who came to me in my dream the night before the investigation. The one who I saw tied to a vehicle by her neck. Look, the girl. She's dead.
I'm cold.
I could barely make out the spirit's features, and she was indeed giving off a freezing cold. She's exhausted, and she's saying something.
What?
Always together. After death.
What does it mean?
She disappeared.
Is the threat coming from her?
I don't know, but it's definitely related to what's happening in your family.
Look, can we work inside the house?
Sure thing.
I'm scared.
For a moment, I heard a knock above my head. But at that moment, I didn't understand that it was a sign. The cards told me that the supernatural force was coming into the family because of an object.
Suddenly, a spirit of a young, fair-haired man appeared behind Marina. The man I see now is around 30. He's fair-haired, thin, and tall.
My first husband, Ruslan.
A car crash?
Yes, he died.
There's an item that connects you to him. It's like a thread between the worlds of the living and the dead.
I put my comb in his coffin. When he died, my mother-in-law said, "We need to comb his hair." I had a small plastic comb in my bag. I combed his hair and put it in the coffin.
Oh my goodness.
You're not supposed to do that at all. Thus, you could bind a deceased person to yourself.
I didn't know that.
So, is the object the psychics mentioned really Marina's comb?
Is it him who's haunting us?
Why would Marina's first husband haunt her?
Before he died, he said, "I'm dying, and I don't want you to get married again."
If he's jealous, he might come back and take revenge because Marina got married again.
He was extremely jealous.
He felt that you didn't love him as strongly as he loved you. Surely you felt affection and gratitude for his love and care, but he loved you to the point of obsession. You couldn't forget your first love and always loved Victor.
It's true.
But you were a good wife. I see your first husband bedridden, but you were always by his side. You never left him.
Yes, he spent 10 months in the hospital.
After the terrible crash,
Marina understood that a person with a spinal fracture was unlikely to ever walk again. Nevertheless, she was willing to spend her life taking care of him, even in a wheelchair. But a miracle didn't happen.
his spirit is behind you now.
Yes, I feel a chill behind me.
He's grateful that you were with him until the end.
Until the end.
The spirit of Marina's first husband doesn't pose a threat to her. He's not the force that's bothering you. Did you hear the rumble?
The noise came from the street. I didn't understand what it was.
I saw the girl from my dream in the window.
Let's go.
Here she is.
Who is she?
She's so pale and she's trying to say something. Promised. Find. What? Above your head? I could only make out separate words, and I didn't understand what the girl was trying to tell me. But then she showed me a picture. A man, a mother, and 3 children. The family is happy together.
Is the danger coming from her?
Probably. There's something that's attracting her here.
Who is this mysterious young woman from the afterlife? And how is she connected to the family?
I decided to ask the cards. It looks that the thread is somehow connected to a child. The child is dead. The child seems to be the reason why Marina's family became a victim of the supernatural force. I see a little girl. Her hair is fair, and her eyes are blue.
That's my deceased daughter.
Did you have another daughter?
Yes, she had sky blue eyes.
What was her name?
Olha. She got sick when she was almost 12 and she died when she was 14.
This is horrific. What killed her?
The doctor said it was lupus.
However, it turned out that the serious autoimmune disease was just one of the diagnoses the doctors gave the girl. Unfortunately, they failed to figure out the precise source of the schoolgirl's disease. But it all started with strange red spots on her leg.
She said, "Mom, my leg really hurts." She showed me her leg and there were spots on it. Then she told me, "It hurts so much I can't step on it."
The treatment prescribed did not yield any results. The girl often fell into a coma, but the doctors couldn't understand why.
They couldn't find anything. They treated her for 2.5 years. The professor said, "Be patient. Maybe her young body will overcome it." And so we hoped for that.
But eventually, Olha died.
I thought that maybe the dead child because of whom the killer spirit was coming was Marina's deceased sister. We had to properly tune in to Olha. I hear her now. She's reciting a poem.
She wrote poems.
Maya says her elder daughter was incredibly talented from a very young age.
She loved drawing.
I see her playing an instrument.
The guitar.
At that moment, I heard a strange sound like a string breaking. It was a sign. I had a feeling that something terrible was associated with the guitar.
We had to tune in to the girl's spirit through her mother.
Wait. I see her walking through a cemetery. She seems to be wandering there, picking flowers and placing them on graves.
Yes, she would do it.
But why did she go there?
She simply liked the cemetery.
Marina's sister was a very creative person, and such teenagers like to be alone, in silence, and so they often go to mystical places. The cause of her illness wasn't medical, but mystical.
This is what we were told.
It turns out that after Olha's first checkup, one of the doctors told her mother something absolutely strange.
The doctor said, "You know, it's not a disease she has, it's a curse. You need to find a mighty sorceress to save your daughter before it's too late." So we found that old woman and she said, "The soil in front of your house is dead."
According to the sorceress, it was grave soil. Maya thought that Olha might have stepped on that soil while cleaning the windows. It was just a day before she fell ill.
My husband called me and showed me that there was indeed soil scattered there.
They threw the soil out of the yard, but of course, this did not help Olha.
This is so terrible.
It happened more than 20 years ago, but the sorrow still hasn't left this woman. Is Marina's late sister really involved in what's happening to her family? And who could have scattered the cemetery soil on their property?
Did you have conflicts with anybody?
There was one old woman.
Maya says her late neighbor was very quarrelsome.
At some point, she cursed me, saying, "May you never see the light of the day."
I thought it was probable that her elder daughter died and her younger daughter was suffering because of that cemetery soil.
My mirror is showing me that you settled here after your daughter's death.
Yes.
Where's the house where you used to live in?
It's not far from here.
We need to check it.
This is where we found the soil.
Olha's parents bought the house where they live now only after her death because they couldn't stand seeing their daughter's grave in the nearby cemetery from the windows of their old home.
I cried. I couldn't look at it.
Maya says she didn't even care about the money she could earn by selling this house. As such, it still stands abandoned.
Let us work here to find out if it was indeed a death curse.
Look, the soil isn't from the cemetery.
Your neighbor indeed brought it.
It appears she only did it to threaten you. But it was ordinary soil.
It didn't kill your daughter.
Then what did it?
I see a young woman at the cemetery. She places a small package, wrapped with black threads, crosswise on the grave. Wait. I see this package in your daughter's hands.
Yes. After her death, we were preparing for the 9-day ceremony. We were cleaning her room. And my husband brought me the guitar and said, "Look what's in the guitar."
Whose guitar was it?
Olha's. She played it.
And what did you find inside it?
A package. It was tied up with thick black threads that formed a cross. My husband took it and threw into the fire.
Did you unwrap it?
No, it was tied up. But it's been tormenting me ever since. I can't stop thinking who did that.
A shocking revelation. But who and why would place a deadly package inside the girl's guitar?
It seems a woman placed this item on the grave to have it charged with the energy of the dead for some ritual of her own. And your daughter found that bundle when she was at the cemetery. It piqued her curiosity, and she brought it home.
So she brought it herself, right?
She hid it in her guitar so no one would find it, but she probably forgot about it.
Dear God,
Ola had no idea how dangerous that thing was. That's what took your daughter, slowly killing her.
She suffered terribly.
So, could the evil charm found in the late Olha's guitar also pose a danger to her sister, Marina?
Suddenly, my mirror showed me a picture. I see you at the cemetery, and there are uniformed people with you, and an infant lies dead at your feet. What is this, Marina?
In the next episode, the shocking investigation continues. A mysterious infant at the cemetery.
I see a woman strangling her baby son, but he didn't die.
the cards are showing me love and unfaithfulness.
A terrible secret has been hidden in Marina's house for many years.
What did the woman do to avenge her beloved man's unfaithfulness? If the story moved you, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Many more astonishing stories are coming up. A contract with death and a child who became the ransom. Don't miss this shocking investigation. The clairvoyance will reveal bloody family secrets, a tiny village. When psychics Rubina Cybulska and Yaroslava Fedorova were returning home from another investigation, their bus suddenly had a flat tire. The van swerved onto the opposite lane, but luckily, the driver managed to steer and stop on the side of the road.
What happened?
Something punctured the tire. It fell off the passing truck.
A spirit of a young man stopped the vehicle. He was dark-haired and had blue eyes. He showed me a strange vision of a road with a woman with long black hair on it. She was from the world of the dead, and opposite her stood a living young woman. The next moment, I noticed a large truck. It was running straight at the girl, but she stood motionless, like she was paralyzed by the gaze of this dark-haired woman from the other world. And then the spirit of the young man spoke. "Save the girl's life. She will kill her in 2 days. The girl he's asking us to save is somewhere nearby."
Coincidence or not, but after the accident, our another expert, Kayal Alikperov, called our office from Azerbaijan.
I had a vision of Yaroslava and Rubina, and behind them, there was a woman from the other world. She wants to kill them.
We noticed that Yaroslava and I had missed many calls from Kayal. I immediately told him about my visions and the girl we have to save.
Kayal Alikperov can't arrive in Ukraine right now, but he promised to assist remotely. Meanwhile, our driver has replaced the flat tire, but the car won't start for some reason. Our administrator calls a tow truck. The psychics and a part of the crew have to walk to the nearest hotel.
I asked my jinns who this girl is and why the evil force seeks her death. They showed me an image. A bloodied woman's body on the floor, and above her, a man with blood on his hands. It looked like a murder.
The following afternoon, the driver is at the local repair shop. It turns out that the onboard computer of our van burned, and it will take a while to fix it. Upon learning that the famous psychics are stranded in the village, the locals begin to gather in front of the hotel.
We decided to talk to the people, hoping that they would help interpret my visions. Suddenly, Yaroslava also saw the woman from the other world among the crowd.
The black hair, it's long, and a long cloak. She's next to you.
I really felt unwell at that moment.
When I looked closely at the ladies, I recognized one of them. It was the girl from my vision.
What's your name?
My name's Vera.
I'm her sister, Nadia.
Let's go aside. A woman from the other world is chasing you. She's right here with you. Do you feel her?
It feels like my back is burning.
She's dark-haired.
And her hair is long.
Bright blue eyes.
I was shocked. They literally described the woman I saw in my dreams.
Recently, this entity hasn't been haunting you in dreams alone.
Lately, I've started seeing shadows. I have panic attacks.
She's draining your energy, and you feel weaker.
Yes, I've been losing weight rapidly.
This month only, Vera has lost over 10 kilograms due to constant anxiety and fear. She's extremely nervous and has almost stopped eating.
I fear for my life. I want to live a normal life. I want you to help me. I'm afraid for my child.
Vera is 26, and her daughter is 6. The girl's father abandoned Vera while she was pregnant.
She has no one except me.
Vera has sought medical help. The doctors diagnosed her with nervous exhaustion, prescribed her antidepressants, and recommended abstaining from stress.
The woman who is haunting you can paralyze you with a single glance.
Indeed, it happened. I was lying awake. I saw my child running, but I struggled to breathe. It felt like something was weighing down my chest, and I was unable to move or scream.
Every day, every evening, I come to see her because I'm afraid something might happen, God forbid.
Nadia, did you feel anything strange when you stayed overnight with your sister?
I tried to wake up, to open my eyes, but I couldn't. I was terrified.
When the dark-haired woman appeared, everything around seemed to freeze. Vera, you couldn't take your eyes off her, even when a truck almost ran over you. I saw this in my vision.
Yes, the truck almost killed me. It was terrifying.
Vera was crossing the street at a pedestrian crossing when suddenly she froze in the middle of the road and couldn't move.
My body got paralyzed. I couldn't move.
Vera saw the red light turn on and noticed a huge truck speeding directly toward her. Suddenly, she had a feeling as if someone pulled her back.
It felt like something pulled me from behind. The truck passed this close to me.
It seems someone is constantly saving you from her.
But who is this woman, and why does she seek Vera's death?
She keeps coming because of a promise. Someone promised her something. May I have your hand? I sense that your destiny was supposed to be different. You're living someone else's life, and you have little time left.
Help me, please.
Meanwhile, in Azerbaijan, Kayal Alekperov is working with Vera's photo.
I asked my djinns why the entity was pursuing Vera, and they told me a strange phrase: the death of the mother. It might somehow be connected to Vera's mother.
It's strange, but your mother is alive.
Yes, yes.
We need to work with your parents.
All right.
Vera, could we see them tomorrow?
Vera hesitated before she agreed to take us to see her parents. No one knew yet what horrors and gruesome secrets that family was hiding.
The clairvoyants and the crew returned to their hotel rooms. And the next morning, they set off to talk to Vera's parents.
Look, the cards are telling us to look for a man with wings. He will help stop death.
My mirror is showing me a little girl. She stands in a room, crying bitterly and whispering something. Suddenly, the space around her seems to change, and the same woman's spirit appears before her. I see the stranger lean down and kiss the girl.
What does it have to do with Vera?
I don't know yet. Hello?
Welcome. I'm her mom.
Where's your husband?
He won't come out.
Get daughter and go away. I don't want to see you.
I couldn't understand why the man was so aggressive. But suddenly, I saw an image of Vera's father hit her. Vera, did your father ever raise his hand against you?
The first time, he hit me twice here. At home, when my mother was away, he slapped me. I fell and got up, but he hit me again. And then I ran out of the house.
I hear him say, "May the devils take you."
Yes, my father cursed me.
And he does it all the time.
Is it possible that the woman from the other world who hunts Vera is somehow bound to her due to her father's curse?
Your father curses you because of your mother. I see him grab your mother, knock her to the floor, and start beating her.
He beat her all the time.
He beat her violently.
I sensed insane jealousy. The man believed that his wife could leave him for someone else at any moment.
He raised his hand against you even when you were pregnant.
Yes, he beat me while I was pregnant.
It was a miracle that Olha didn't lose her baby and gave birth to Vera.
She was all bruised when she birthed me. The doctors said it was impossible that she survived.
Vera, I see that as you grew up, you repeatedly saved your mother from death.
He took a knife, and I stood in front of her like this.
Vera spent her entire childhood in fear. Every day, she feared she would be too late to save her mother, and her father would kill her.
Even now, I have nightmares of my father beating my mother and trying to kill me.
Your father's hatred toward you, Vera, seems to have begun after you exposed everything. You decided to punish him.
Yes. It was when I was around 16, after I entered the college.
After another round of beating, Vera's mother ended up in the hospital again.
When I arrived, I told her, "Tell the police, otherwise he'll kill you sooner or later," and I finally convinced her.
The man was taken to the police station and a trial took place a month later. Vera testified as the main witness to her father's abuse.
I sensed that the man tried to appear as a model family man.
He said, "I've never done such a thing in my life. How can you say such things about your father?"
However, the father didn't know that for several years, his daughter had been recording all his threats to kill her and her mother.
My father would call me while I was at the college, threatening me and saying he'd bleed me to death. He wouldn't stop calling and threatening, and so my friend said, "Let's record him threatening you."
The recordings became the main evidence against Vera's father in court. The prosecutor demanded a 6-year prison sentence for him.
But then I sensed that when the man was one step from the prison, someone saved him.
And Vera's mother, the woman he had tormented all his life, did it.
He persuaded Mom, and she withdrew her appeal, and so he only received a 3-year suspended sentence, and a month later, he was granted amnesty.
The man returned home and continued to torment his wife. Since then, he forbade his daughter from visiting their home.
Whatever Vera's mother said, she was content living with her abuser, so she didn't leave him. But her daughter was the one who suffered.
All I ever wanted was a normal family. Before going to bed, I always dreamed of a good family where no one would be beaten, where everything would be fine. I wanted us to go out, have fun, and enjoy ourselves. I had nothing. I can't say I had a happy childhood. I never went anywhere with my parents, like other kids, to the circus, the park, the movies. We never went anywhere, but I wanted to, and I asked you. When was the first time in all those years that you told me you loved me? When did you say that? I didn't feel love and protection.
Olha, why did you withdraw the appeal?
I had nowhere to go. It all belongs to him.
But if you had had him put behind the bars, he wouldn't have beaten you anymore, and you could have stayed here and communicated with your daughter, and you know it perfectly well.
This has been my life. What can I do, you see?
I don't understand her at all. It's either fear or perverted love.
Your inaction exposed your daughter to mortal danger every day.
It's a betrayal by both her parents. She didn't expect this from you.
You never listened to me. You always chose the wrong way.
Vera hasn't spoken to her parents for over 5 years. Has her mother hurt her this time? Will she change her attitude toward her daughter and her life in general?
I tuned in again to understand whether the dark-haired killer woman was connected to the curses. And I realized she wasn't.
But then I saw Vera's house again in a black circle and the dark-haired woman next to it. We need to go to your house. When we entered Vera's home, I felt the presence of someone from the world of the dead.
Meanwhile, in Azerbaijan, Kayal Alekperov describes something utterly weird.
I see an image. The dark-haired woman stands behind Rubina and reaches out toward her.
This is horrendous. Suddenly, the switch on the wall behind Rubina Tsibulska burned.
I don't know how to explain this.
This otherworldly force tried to scare us, but when we entered the house, I didn't sense her. I see a tall, dark-haired young man with blue eyes. It was his spirit that stopped our van and showed me you almost got hit by a truck. You had strong feelings for him.
Mikola.
Mikola was Vera's first love. They dated before she got married.
She always called me and said what a great man she'd met. She said she didn't need anyone else.
Suddenly, I had a vision of Vera lying on the couch, crying bitterly and whispering something. You were told of his death, and it was an awful blow for you.
Yes.
Mikola worked as a construction worker. He tragically died at work.
He approached the trailer. It was raining, and there was a problem with the wiring in the trailer. He grabbed the handle, and he was killed by electricity.
I sensed that Mikola loved Vera incredibly and thought only of her until his last breath.
He was dying in his friend's arms, and they told me he was speaking about me.
And then you started seeing him in your dreams.
Yes, I had a dream in which I entered the room, and he stood there, rocking my baby in the stroller. I approached him and hugged him from behind and said, "I want to be with you." And he replied, "It's too early for you to be with me."
Suddenly, I felt the presence of the spirit in the room. His eyes are very beautiful. He stands behind you, embracing you.
I indeed felt his touch.
Mikola loved Vera so much that he even tried to protect her after his death. It was he who saved her from the truck.
But his spirit couldn't constantly resist the dark-haired woman. She was too powerful. He's looking at you. And he says, the reason lies in her family.
But what does he mean?
It's unbelievable, but at the same time, Kayal Alekperov in Azerbaijan has a strange vision too.
I see the bloodied woman, and above her is a man with blood on his hands. How are these people connected to Vera? They are her parents.
Your deceased boyfriend is showing me an image. As a little girl, you stand in the middle of the room, and I hear your father's voice. Step away, I want to kill her. Then your father almost beat your mother to death. She was dying in the middle of the room.
I was little.
She was about 10 then.
I heard Mom screaming and ran into the house. There, I saw her lying covered in blood, and he was kicking her. I fell on her, grabbed him by the legs, and started begging him not to kick her.
I had a vision. Vera was shaking her mother, trying to revive her, and the dark-haired woman stood next to them. I heard the little girl say, "Take my life, but let my mother live." You pleaded with your mother, "Just don't die, let me die instead."
Yes.
My God.
You described the situation accurately.
So that was you that my mirror showed me at the hotel. I see a little girl. She stands in a room, crying bitterly and whispering something. Suddenly, the same woman's spirit appears before her. This woman came for your mother, and she isn't an evil entity. She's death herself.
My breath catches and tears choke me.
Bring water, please.
You stopped her.
Your words spoken over your dying mother were filled with intense love and pain. So death agreed to spare your mother's life and take yours instead. Your destiny was supposed to be different. You're living someone else's life. Death gave Vera's life to her mother. That's why Vera was supposed to die at the age when her mother was supposed to die.
But how do psychics save Vera from death? Is it even possible? And are psychics capable of doing it?
The only option is to try to return the timeline of your life, which was given to you after you were born, and the current threat of death needs to be transferred to something living.
We can transfer it to a tree.
Such rituals are always very dangerous. I couldn't even imagine how it would end, but I still decided to take the risk. I need something you often wear, like earrings, a necklace, or something like that.
I have a cross.
I went to the forest, not far from Vera's house, so that no one would accidentally get hurt during the ritual.
And I decided to perform a ritual to put protection on Vera.
I used a spell to remove the mortal danger from Vera's cross and transferred it to the water, but as soon as I started pouring it under the tree, a strong wind arose. Can you feel it? Death is approaching. It's somewhere nearby. Just look at that. Nobody move.
I saw Fire and Rubina lying on the ground. What she's about to do is dangerous. I'll recite the Quran to strengthen her protection.
The wind was growing stronger every minute. It had already destroyed the protective circle of salt the gypsy clairvoyant had made.
Here's your sacrifice. Here's the life you must take. This is what you came for. Take your ransom. Everyone stay in place.
It was pure madness. Above all, we wanted to escape from there. But as soon as Rubina Tsibulska uttered her last words, the wind rapidly subsided, and silence enveloped us.
You got what you wanted. Now you can go. Go. Vera, you're safe now.
I feel a lot better. I'm so glad they came. I'm very grateful to the psychics. I even feel happier.
To save her mother, the daughter was willing to sacrifice her own life. Hopefully, her mother will finally understand it. If this story impressed you, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Many more amazing stories are coming up.